There was a program they had that was working, but it cost a good bit of money. And so their charter school board voted to nix that program. Well, they sent a letter home telling the parents they were going to nix the program, and the parents had a fit. And the parents came up and said, no, you're not going to get rid of this program. So within 4 days, they had reversed course and put that program back in. And that's how quickly they can move, because they're much more responsive. And I don't know how the Bartow School Board is, or the Rome School Board, or the Floyd County, but I know our school board, if you want to speak to our school board, you have to sign up days in advance. You have to tell them what you're going to ask them before you come. You can't, 2 weeks in Floyd? Oh my gosh, see, is that really local representation to have to, for you to have to beg for permission to speak to the people that you elected? I mean, really? I got a problem with that. I don't know about you guys. I got a real problem with that. But anyway, this is...
take one more question. Do we have a question? Yeah.
This is a question I'm very curious about, and I hope you have some input on it. I'm concerned about, is there discipline in the Georgia public schools? Do the children come to school respectful and want to learn? Because I'm sure in the alternative schools, respectfulness and discipline is just something that is a given. You expect it. So I'm just curious, how are Georgia public schools, can they discipline children? Are they permitted to discipline children? Or are the children, is it chaotic? Because you can't learn in chaos. So I'm just very curious, do you know anything about it?
I'll just repeat some of the issues that have been brought to me by teachers, is that they have no ability to discipline in the classroom. And that's one of the problems. Now, I'll tell you, when I was in school, they had the ability and they exercised it quite often on me. And I needed it at the time. But that's one of the constraints upon our teachers today, is the inability to control their classroom. And it also starts hurting the better teachers, because there are teachers who are a little more authoritative and they can get control without corporal punishment, some other things. And what ends up happening, what many teachers will tell us, is they'll take the troubled kids from the other classrooms, and they'll place them in the classrooms with the better teachers, which then that teacher has to spend more time controlling that student, which then just brings down the entire classroom. It's the weakest link theory, and it's just this domino effect that happens. You know, the same thing as several teachers have told me, because of the pressure put upon them, administration or policy, that they can no longer fail children. I know at one time there was school systems that said you cannot give a child a score less than, I think, of a 50. Even if they did absolutely nothing in the classroom, if they didn't answer one answer right on the test, they didn't turn any homework, they didn't do anything, you still have to give them 50 so they would still have a chance of passing. Well, I'm sorry, they shouldn't pass if they didn't do anything. And it's this issue that we're talking about right here, what's amazing to me is this crosses every line. The school choice. I love two of the legislators that were speaking on here. Senator Chip Rogers, who lived in Bartow County for a while, is one of the more prominent conservative leaders in the state. Alicia Thomas Morgan, who I served with when I was in the House, is one of the more recognized liberal leaders in the state. Both advocates for school choice. The school choice crosses racial lines, all demographics, economic lines. It's because parents want, universally, parents want what's best for their children. And you see when we're at the Capitol, one of the best things that school choice people do is they hand out those yellow scarves. You know what those people are at the Capitol for, and when I walk out of the Senate chambers and I look down, and there is a sea of yellow scarves, And this last year, I tried to kind of get a count, but I bet 60% of those that were there wearing scarves, children were minorities. And that is a huge issue with them because, unfortunately, they happen to be in some of the areas with the poorest performing schools, and they're the ones that are benefiting the most from the school choice program.
I do want to study though, Elaine, because that kind of begs the question, is it fair then to say charter schools are doing better because can't they just choose the students that they want? They cannot. They have to accept any student who comes their way, and if they have more applications than they have space for, which they often do, they have to hold a lottery to decide what child gets in that school. So they get the same discipline problems that a public school has. They may, and I'm going to check on this, they may have a little more freedom to deal with those discipline problems. I will check to see, but I know they can't like beat them or anything. You know, I mean there are laws for any school.
They can be kicked out of the school, which is what the kids do not want. They don't
Right.
want to leave the school.
They don't want to leave the school, and yeah.
Well, I just know you can't learn in chaos. No matter how much money you throw at it, how many good ideas, if the classroom is chaotic, no one learns.
That's true, and that's what's so unfair, because if you have a child in a poor community, maybe they're a very bright child, and they're going to that chaotic classroom, it isn't long before their candle has gone out. I was there when we were interviewing Alicia Thomas Morgan for the film, and she said when a child is learning and they're thriving, you can see it in their eyes. If you're a mom or a dad, you know exactly what she's talking about. You can see it in a child's eyes when they're getting what they need, when they're learning things, when they're excited about what they're doing, and that's what we want for Georgia kids.
Can something be done to get discipline back in schools?
Might be another conversation for another time.
That's for the lawyer.
That's where the lawyer's coming.
When I was in school and I got in trouble, my parents didn't allow the teachers to paddle me. So my dad came to the school about 3 times in 1 week, and I never got in any more trouble that year. So I think it always goes back to the parents. And as a parent, let me say I have a lot more sympathy for parents with strong-willed children. I'm strong-willed on this microphone. I'm going to talk in way down. Parents have to do their part. Too long we've relied on the government to do everything for us in every aspect of our lives, or some have. And I know not every child benefits from a great home life, but to the extent possible, parents have to be in charge of disciplining their children before they ever get to school. And then when they get there and act up, you might need to do what my dad or mom had to do and come to school and take care of me. So I don't know. I'm not sure you're going to get a lot of support. Maybe you would get a lot of support for opening up opportunities for teachers to engage in corporal punishment again in Georgia. I don't really know. I haven't looked at any studies on that, but it's parents' responsibility primarily.
Although it's probably safe to say some of them will be standing in line. We'd love the opportunity on occasion.
Any kind of physical punishment, I'm just saying, something has to be done.
Yeah, that's to be done. Folks, it's going to be an ongoing conversation, and really what we wanted to do tonight is spark it and start it and put some resources in your hands to continue the conversation. So I want to thank everybody who's been willing to come up. Let's give our panel a round of applause. Make sure on your way out to hand in the survey. Carolyn will be standing in the back.